Okay, we're just going to get right in there for our listeners. What were you like as a child as far as your personality, your interests?
Yeah. I was an outgoing kid, very artistic, always the class clown, but I was like the smartest kid in the class too. So it was a good balance. I got away with a lot more than probably some other friends got away with growing up.
Right.
Um, uh, into a little bit of everything. I was in band. I was in sports. I was a teenage dad.
Yeah.
Had my son when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Did that have anything to do with maybe you pushing a little bit harder to be who you are today? Or
definitely, it's one of those situations where you either use it as an excuse or you use it as a motivator.
right.
For me, it was a motivator. I just knew that I had to man up, basically. So, last 3 years of high school, I spent working and just becoming more responsible than my peers.
Right.
So, yeah, and after going to college and getting out in the real world, it was just I just felt like just working a job was never going to be enough for me to sustain the type of lifestyle that I wanted. So that's what pushed me into becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah. What would you say was the turning point exactly? Like, when did you actually decide to get into the business that you're into?
Yeah. So real estate. So I did what everybody told me to do. Everybody's like, be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? I'm like, engineer takes the shortest amount of time. That's the route I'm going.
Right.
So I went to school for engineering on a full academic scholarship, and I graduated. And the first year out, I was like, man, I've been sold a dream.
Yeah.
This is not what they said it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm working these long hours, making this salary. I even was able to buy a house at 22, but just watching my boss and my boss's boss, and the six-figure salaries that we all taught was so great, they were still miserable. And I was like, I can't do this for the next 40 years. So I just started reading, and I got into option stock trading.
Yeah.
It was like 2007, 2008. So it wasn't really a good time to get into that. So I just started reading books, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And
I've heard a lot of people have read that book.
Yeah.
Actually.
So that book it tells it's a story of two dads. One has all the education and has all the six-figure salaries, but his lifestyle always matches his salary, and he ends up leaving his kid with nothing. But his neighbor's dad has an 8th grade education, starts a business, and leaves a multi-million-dollar construction company to his side. So that's the gist of it. But it's a lot of principles and lessons that are taught along the way.
Right.
Yeah. And so for me, that was just like the eye opener. That was the aha moment. So I was 23, and I started real estate right away after that.
Oh, wow. So you were pretty young then. Do you want to go into more of what you do as far as real estate goes? Like,
sure. Yeah. So I started in real estate in 2008. I kind of fell into it. That same house that I was talking about that I bought when I was 22.
Right.
I couldn't sell it when I decided to quit because I was in Memphis. I had to move back to Texas. So I had to have a property manager come and manage it for me in Memphis. And my mortgage payment was like $1,100 a month. And the property manager was able to get a tenant to rent it for $1,500 a month. So that was that second light bulb, that confirmation from reading the book. It's like, wait a minute, so somebody else is managing this for me. It's out of state. I'm not doing anything, and I'm making $400 a month off of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so this makes sense. So that's what really got me into it. And then when I was here, one of my line brothers actually worked for the We Buy Ugly Houses people. It's called Home Investors. And so he introduced me to one of the contractors there, and that guy became my mentor 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, he would help me pick the houses to flip. And we would flip them. He'd make money off the flips. So as long as he kept me in business, he was in business. So just kind of built my real estate investment business from there.
For those who may be interested or maybe have that fear of jumping into real estate right away, what advice would you give to them as far as like what would be the first step?
Okay, I would say this. If you're going to be scared to jump into anything, real estate is probably the one that'll be worth the fear because it creates the most first generation millionaires of any investment, any industry.
Wow.
And I would say what's most important is not how much you can try to learn on your own, but finding someone that's already doing it and getting them to help you along the way.
So the mentor thing is
crucial.
Really helped you out a lot.
A lot. I tell everybody, you're going to learn either one or two ways. You're going to bump your head, you're going to lose time, you're going to lose money, or you're going to find somebody that's already doing it and you're going to copy the right cat.
Right.
And sometimes you have to pay them. You have to bring some type of value to them, whether it's your time, energy, effort, but that you will always find someone willing to sow into you as long as you come to them offering something, bring something to the table to offer them.
So would you say that it's been a smooth road for you? I guess starting from around 2008, 2007 up until this point, or Were there a bunch of ups and downs
Yeah,
on
it's
the way?
definitely a bunch of ups and downs. What I've learned is like, you know, the way that we're taught to expect life to go is not practical.
Right.
Even the school system teaches you if you're the best, you're going to be right more than 90% of the time. And in reality, the C student that's wrong 30% of the time gets the same end result you get.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's real life. That's entrepreneurship. That's business. There's going to be ups and downs. You're going to fail, but the failure isn't the end. It's just a moment of feedback of what you're doing wrong and what you have to correct. So yeah, there's been lessons. I've lost money. I've lost deals. I've lost friends.
Right.
I've lost relationships. So it definitely hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. You know,
Yeah.
It's worth it. Yeah.
What would you say you're most proud of with your company, or even just the road leading up to where you are now? What was your proudest moment?
I would say I'm kind of living my proudest moment right now because I stepped out of just the investing for myself, like the fix and flip, and to be able to redevelop an entire block of property in Fifth Ward in a historically Black neighborhood,
Right.
and kind of attack the gentrification narrative by coming in and building nice houses, not specifically for the low income people,
Right.
but for market rate stuff to attract the successful Black people back to the neighborhood. And it's been working. So I'm building 14 townhouses.
Oh,
3 of
that's
them are
awesome.
done. All 3 of them are sold. All young Black working professionals moving out of the suburbs or moving out of an expensive apartment
Right.
to buy in an area where the values are appreciating tremendously because there's a lot of redevelopment going on over there. And to be able to do that, and I even got 5 other houses pre-sold that I haven't even started construction on yet.
Oh, wow.
But just to be able to get the buy-in of the community for people to understand that everything has a life cycle, even in the neighborhood. It's going to revitalize. So either we're going to participate in it and we're going to control what's going on, or we're going to watch other people do it like that happens all the time.
Was this a plan for you the entire time, or is this something that just kind of popped into your head over time?
It was somewhere in the middle, because when I was always frustrated with the fix and flip. When people would ask me how can they get in, what can they do, you know, a lot of them, they don't have the risk tolerance to be an investor,
Right.
right? And so it's a single player sport, right? But I figured out that there has to be a way for me to have a greater impact on the community, and also allow them to build a higher net worth through real estate. And so 2013, I was able to actually buy an entire block, which is the block I'm building on now. And I was able to negotiate a great seller financing deal because the guy owned it free and clear. So he let me make payments on the property instead of paying for it all up front. And so I had it, and I really didn't know what I was going to do with it. My initial thought was just to hold it and then sell it to somebody else later when the land value went up. But then I started realizing this is my opportunity to tackle that goal that I've always had of helping everybody else.
Right.
So yeah, so I think about 2016 is when my mindset shifted to I'm going to be a developer.
Okay.
And you know, from then it's just I've been focused on making that happen.
Right.
And so now it's full fledged. That's what I'm focused on 100% of the time.
Okay. Would you say that going into real estate, does it take money to go ahead and start, or is it something that you can find ways around that? Because I know a lot of people they're always worried about, well, I don't have the money to even buy a home or to rehab a home, flip or whatever you want to call it. So what would you say?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to get into real estate.
Yeah.
Some of them require money if you're going to come out and you want to start flipping right away. That will require money. But there's other roles you can play in real estate, like the person that actually finds the properties for the investors. That role is called a wholesaler. So they find the distressed sellers, and that takes a very minimal investment. It can be as simple as you driving around, identifying abandoned properties and tracking down the owners, or you could be getting county lists of foreclosures and calling the people and asking, who's ready to sell.
Right.
There's several different ways, and those don't take they take more sweat equity than they take actual capital.
Okay.
And then you can be a service provider. You can get your real estate license and become a realtor. You can become an appraiser, an inspector. There's a lot of things people don't think about all the time.
See, listeners, there's no excuse.
Right, there is no excuse.
There's no excuse.
And what I always tell everybody is this isn't just for real estate. This is for any avenue of life where you want to be successful. There's a success triangle. So you need three things. You need the knowledge, you need the money, and you need the opportunity.
Right.
For most of the time in business, you don't have to come to the table with one. So if you have the opportunity, you have a property, right? But you don't know what to do with it, you go find an experienced investor to partner with you, and then now you got the knowledge. Then you can go to somebody else, doctor, lawyer, friend that's got money in the bank. Hey, this is a deal. I got this experienced guy on my team. You know, do you want to invest?
Right.
And people don't think like that. Once again, it goes back to school. School taught us you have to do everything on your own.
Right.
So, and you have to feel like you have to prove yourself. You have to study for the test, and you have to pass the test on your own. That's in the real world. You copy. You copy. You cheat. You collaborate, and that's how you get to an end goal a lot quicker.
So networking is extremely important.
Yes, networking and bringing value to the table where it's mutually beneficial for everybody involved. Yeah.
I did want to ask you, what is your take on gentrification?
So if you look at the textbook definition of gentrification, it's taking something from a lower class standard and upgrading it to a middle class standard.
Okay.
That's the whole definition.
Right.
But for us, it's usually taken in a negative context because we aren't the ones making that change. And if we're not the ones making the change, the people that are making that change usually aren't focused on us specifically. They have their own agenda when they come in. Right. So I think, like I said earlier, the everything will be revitalized eventually. Everything has a life cycle. It has to start over or it's going to die off. And so we just need to figure out a way to participate in that process where we are bringing our talent, our people back to our communities instead of the people that do take the risk and move outside of the community to go to school, to get a career, to start a business. If when after they've achieved all these goals, if there are no options for them in the neighborhood they come from, they're going to go to the suburbs.
Right.
They're going to go somewhere else. So we have to focus more on being able to bring them back to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so that's what my focus has been.
Awesome.
Bringing those folks back to the neighborhood. Yeah.
So has it been difficult to do so? Because I know a lot of people are just stuck, I guess you would say. They don't, because these things have been going on for so long, it's like they don't see another way. So has it been difficult to get people to believe in this?
Yeah, you know, I think what I started to realize after a while is that when you have such a sensitive topic and you have so many intellectual people on both sides of the conversation, you can listen to a debate about it and both sides sound like they're right.
Right.
So you can spend time continually to talk to people about it, or you can take action. So I started focusing more on the action side and stopped worrying about trying to convince people. I was like, well, let me just put these things in motion. Exactly. And once the example is there, then it takes away the excuses.
Right.
Because it's like, it's actually happened. I've actually done it. So you can't argue with me and tell me it's not going to work anymore. I'm doing it now.
The proof
and
is in the pudding.
Exactly. Exactly. The proof is in the pudding.
Okay.
And so the other side of the conversation that I get now, so the first, it was, you're not going to get anybody to move back to the neighborhood. The second was, nobody's going to lend to you because the banks don't believe in this area. So I disproved both of those. You know, got people moving back. Now the next thing is, well, what about the existing people? What are you doing? You're displacing people.
Right.
And I actually bought a block of property that's full of drugs and prostitution.
Oh, wow.
And the neighbors around the property are actually happy that I tore all that stuff down because now their kids can play outside.
Oh, yeah.
So it changes the whole dynamic of the neighborhood. On top of that, my other initiative is the other side of gentrification, which is, as you make things nice, you have to look out for the long-term residents, especially the ones that are renters. Right. And what I'm doing there is there's another block of property that I got under contract right now. I'll be closing on it next month. But it's 18 houses. It's occupied by all seniors, seniors and one single mom. Some of the tenants have been there for 18 years, 20 years, and they're literally saying they're going to stay there until they die. So, as the area gentrifies, what's going to happen is another investor will come in and buy it. And most landlords, the first thing they think about doing is raising the rent to try to maximize their investment. Well, then that puts these seniors that are on these fixed income in a position where they can no longer afford it and they get displaced. Okay. So I'm buying it, but I'm not going to increase the rents at all because it's bringing in good money as is.
Okay, so that won't affect you in any way.
Right. I'm buying it. And it's got $13,000 a month in revenue coming in right now. So unless you're just greedy, you're just trying to, think about your personal initiative, then there's no reason to really affect them negatively by trying to raise the rents.
And I guess that keeps you in a good space too. That keeps you being supported by the people.
It does. It shows the balance of what someone with the right focus on gentrification can do. You can come in and make things nice, and you can also protect the existing tenants, existing residents. So the third part to that is what I'm working on next is the taxes, so I've addressed how to look out for the tenants, the renters, but then how do you look out for the homeowners?
Right.
Well, then now the next thing you do is you petition city council to make sure that anybody that's a long-term resident of this neighborhood gets tax exemptions, so that as the taxes increase or the land value increases, their property taxes don't go up.
So is that a simple process or?
It's just a petition process. I mean,
Okay.
it's going to city council, talking to them, getting their buy-in, getting them to put that on the agenda and getting it voted and passed. A lot of cities already have it.
Oh, okay.
So it's
that's
not like
awesome.
it's not like we'll be the first.
So they weren't trying to fight it at all, or?
Some of them do try to fight it, but the city councilmen have to look at what's in the best interest of their community.
Right.
Right. Especially if they want to get reelected. So this is something where it doesn't really hurt them, because if there's a lot of new stuff coming to the area with new high values, then they're still going to get an increase in the property taxes overall. So the revenue for their district is still going to go up. But this is how they protect the other people in the neighborhood, and it's like socially responsible revitalization.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm working on that right now, and then what's even better about this other project is there is commercial property on it too. So what I'm going to do is upgrade the commercial property to increase the revenue there.
But what type of properties exactly?
Good question. So there's 2 buildings. So one of them right now has a barbecue restaurant.
Oh.
And a vacant space next to it. The barbecue restaurant, actually also Black owned. He has a contract with the city of Houston's school district, with Houston ISD. He provides after school meals for the kids and everything, which is good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And so the next space is empty, but I have a Black owned coffee shop that wants to move into there.
Oh, I love coffee.
Yeah. And so there are no coffee shops in Fifth Ward. So this will be the first one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll be able to do that. And then the other commercial structure is something I'm going to tear down, and I'm going to build a new office space and retail there.
Okay.
Going to probably do like an incubator, workspace, shared workspace, to kind of be like a hub in Fifth Ward for young entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And just focus on, building little segments of the community like that repeatedly. But the best part about this whole project is I'm able to bring in investors.
Right.
Because it has cash flow already. So it makes it the perfect model for me to allow other people to come and invest with me on the project, And so I'm actually trying something new that I've never tried before, which is a crowdfund.
Okay.
So what I was able to do is work with a platform called Buy the Block. So there's when Barack Obama was in office, he passed new legislation where anybody can invest in big group projects that are over $1 million, whereas before you couldn't. You had to be an accredited investor.
Oh, okay.
An accredited investor means you have a net worth of $1 million, or you make over $200,000 a year for the past 2 years.
That's a bit much.
Yeah, so that excluded a lot of people from being able to ever invest in anything.
Yeah.
Well, this new tier of crowdfunding that's been approved allows anybody to invest up to 10% of their income.
Okay.
So what I'm able to do is offer people the opportunity to invest in actually buying the block for as little as $250 a piece.
Oh, wow. Is this like a reoccurring payment or just a
one-time payment? So what I'm doing is I'm taking the purchase price and I'm breaking it up in little bitty increments, basically. So when you invest, you're actually buying a piece of the real estate. So you actually own a piece of the project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so as the property value goes up, as I increase the revenue on the commercial side, the value of the property goes up. It's right next to where they're building the new city center, literally like less than a mile away. So that's going to change the home values, the property values in the area too. So by buying shares, everybody that owns a small piece of this is now truly a real estate investor.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and they really get the benefit on the upside of everything.
So when would they see, I guess, a return or something on something like that?
Okay, so good question. So it already has cash flow.
Okay.
So I'm taking the net profit after we pay all the bills every month, and 40% of that, I'm dividing it up and giving it out to everybody that owns shares.
Okay.
So that's the immediate income.
So it's pretty quick then.
Yeah. So it's just like owning a stock with a dividend. Like the company gives a small percentage of profits out to all the shareholders. So we're doing the same thing here.
Okay.
The bigger upside here though is actually owning the real estate itself. So the second we buy it, the property value is already going up over there.
Right.
So and they're going to continue to go up. So the share that you buy is $50 a share, but you have to buy at least 5.
Okay.
So, for simple terms, over the next year, if the property values over there go up 10%, then your $250 investment is now worth $275.
Right.
Right. And I'm projecting over the next 5 to 6 years, the property values over there is probably going to double, but I'm being conservative and saying 30 to 40%, just because I'm looking at every other area of the city where this happened already. Like Spring Branch over there by City Center used to be like very low income Hispanic neighborhood. Now it's very expensive to live in Spring Branch.
So what changes that? What causes it to become, I guess, like a better?
Yeah.
Well, how would you know that it's going to get better?
Yeah.
Like where do you find that
So
out
there
at?
you have to see signs of something coming to the area, something that puts that particular neighborhood in higher demand. So I mean, you can go in the hood and buy property, but that's like Russian roulette, or it's like gambling, because you don't know what's going to happen.
So the crowdfunding, for those who are interested in investing in this, where do they need to go?
So the website is buytheblock.com.
Buy the block. That's simple.
Yeah, very simple. Buytheblock.com.
Okay.
And my campaign is called Lyons Avenue Renaissance. That's the name of the street that the project is on.
Oh, okay.
Which, interestingly enough, was basically a Black Wall Street in Houston. It was the street that was full of Black businesses before desegregation.
Wow.
It was one of the first areas settled in Houston by African Americans. As a matter of fact, the next block over from where this project is the first African American theater that was in Houston that's recently been renovated by TSU and the Fifth Ward Redevelopment Corporation.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, so that's good to know.
A lot of history over there. A lot of history over there.
So who else are you working with in the city as far as this project goes? Is there anyone else, or is it just like a...
I have my team, right? So I'm acting in the role of developer, and so I have another gentleman that's a builder. He's been building all over the city for the past 15 years, and he builds 300 or 400 homes a year. Black-owned company as well, so I work with him, my real estate brokers, my preferred lenders, my insurance companies. Everybody is all from our community.
And now the community itself.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
At what point did you start working with BlackWallSt? When did that become something you wanted to do?
You know, I don't remember how it started. I think when I was trying to figure out the best way to get my message out, I was trying different things, and I tried like social media ads, but I wasn't really selling anything, right? So it's kind of hard because I wasn't seeing a return on investing and putting the information in front of people, you know. So I think I actually did buy a couple of ads from a couple of the social media influencer pages, and I think the message that I was putting out kind of resonated with them. So we kind of established a working relationship where it became mutually beneficial. Where the content that I was putting out helped them with their engagement on their pages, and so that's how we established a relationship. And met the guys behind the scenes, and really great guys, kind of in the same industry. So it's
would you
just
say
been
that
powerful.
it's actually helped you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Would you say that social media has helped you in any way with your business or your company, or have you been more like out there on your feet in the field?
I think both. What social media has allowed me to do is to get the message out to a broader audience in a more efficient manner.
Right.
Because I mean, with social media, what you present is what you attract. So I've been able to attract a like-minded audience. And a lot of the social media influencer platforms, like the BlackWallSt platform, they have what I would say a collective group of like-minded individuals.
Right.
That if you were trying to go out and find these people on your own, it would take a long time to find them.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, and not only that, but I can remember just growing up when we had dial-up internet, and it was it was really hard to find information back then. And now everything's available. A hashtag
out there,
a hashtag will give you the answers to all your questions about any topic now. So I think social media is definitely a powerful tool.
What other marketing tools would you say you use as far as
Wow. Networking and word of mouth is the next most powerful one, which is, I mean, that's really just leveraging the same thing that social media leverages as people, right? Personal relationships, going out to networking events, and having the right team. So I'm not a marketer. I bring the product and the service, which is the real estate, and then I have a strong real estate team that works with me.
Okay, so it's always about teamwork, basically, because I've heard you say that a bunch of times.
It's all about teamwork. It's all about leveraging others. Anybody that tries to do everything themselves, they're doing themselves a disservice, because it takes a lot longer to get anything accomplished when you're trying to hoard everything, or you're too worried about trying to keep everything in house because you want to micromanage everything. That's not how corporations run.
Right.
if and the signs are usually in front of us, but we don't really see them, right? Like the show Undercover Boss. Like the CEO never knows what the regular employees are doing, but he's up making high level decisions and he's delegating everything else.
Right.
And that's how you have that's what it takes to be successful in any industry.
Okay. What I guess your contact information, social media, email, phone number, in order for some of our listeners that might want to work with you or contact you about your company.
Okay.
You want to give that out?
Yeah, so the easiest way to contact me is my website, which is just my name. It's chrissenegal.com, ChrisSenegal.com. And that has links to all my social media, my company website, my development project website. And my Instagram is _investor, but it's like the only vowel is the I. So it's _INVSTR.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll have this somewhere.
Yeah,
Bottom.
it'll be here.
This is where we say it's up here in the corner, it's down at the bottom, right? It's somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people out there that were listening and that kind of needed this information just to take that first step. So we really appreciate you here at BlackWallSt.